Roundtable series. We're really glad that you're here. Some folks that we've seen before and a number of new faces. That's awesome. We're expecting 2014 to be our best year ever as an event series, and hopefully your best year ever as a business. You're going to find that as you come, you're going to gain insights from folks who are in the race with you, who are developing their ideas. Hopefully the camaraderie will be encouraging, and you'll also be challenged as you see other people moving ahead, and you'll find the support you need when you run into a challenge, an obstacle, to break through to your audience with the messages that are going to resonate with them and cause them to say, hey, I got to work with those folks. So glad that you're here. This event is brought to you by Ann Arbor Spark, a supporter of high-tech business and innovation in the Washtenaw County area. The event is being live streamed at AnnArborUSA.org thanks to Russell Video. Online viewers, please feel free to submit questions at any time. And live viewers, there will be a microphone later that I'll be bringing around at our question and answer portion. Just a reminder to turn off your cell phones. Tonight we are going to open the door for you into new opportunity as you look at your dashboard and you look at the horizon. We're going to have two guest panelists with us tonight, David Bloom of Factotum and Larry Eiler from Eiler Communications, both with real depth of experience. And they're going to give us their top tips for 2014. Then we're going to have some discussion together. And then after that, Scott Howman from New Foundry is going to give an announcement about some new direction that we have as the Marketing Roundtable. So thanks, Larry and David. Come on up and we'll get started. David is going to start us out with his top three. And you can see David, Factotum, Larry Eiler, Eiler Communications, Scott Howman, New Foundry. And David, why don't you start us off?
Oh, did we skip a slide? Okay. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, great. That was for Logan in the back. I have three top tips for 2014. These are the things that have come out of our practice over the last few years that I think are coming to the fore now. So if our topic for tonight is what should I be doing differently than I did in the past, the three things that I think we should focus on for 2014 are lifecycle marketing, adopting customer language, and a thing I call the law of two ears. We're going to start with product lifecycle marketing. And marketing professionals, are there any in the room here other than Scott? Yeah. What happens so often is a client will come in who is looking to engage us to do marketing services, and they end up actually pitching us. They prove to us how badly they need help with marketing by their own trying to market themselves to us. And the goal there is information transfer. They want to get the right service provider, but then they also want to get the right value proposition out of the engaging of the service provider, when really what we want to do is just jump past that whole engagement dance and get out into the marketplace. So this is a very familiar picture at Factotum where the client is sitting at the end of the table and we're all sitting around and listening to him, and he's got this great idea and he's trying to explain it to us. And it's for a product or a service that he's worked on for the last several years, and now he's ready to go to market, and now is when he begins thinking about marketing, is at the end. What we tell him and what we tell our clients in 2014 is lifecycle marketing means marketing is cradle to grave. You begin the marketing activity preferably before you begin the product and service development activity. And you take it all the way through to market. Don't throw it over the wall. So I call this slide the St. Louis Marketing Group. So we're all here in St. Louis, and in comes the client, and we ask her, how do you know that this is the right product? How do you know that this is the right value proposition, the right price point, the right messaging? And if they've done their homework, then they know. And otherwise, they're saying, well, I have a hunch, or this feels right, or it's my big idea. I'm a big idea guy. You're a big idea guy. We should get along, right? So here's a slide that shows what product lifecycle marketing looks like in the real world. And this is all marketing activities. At the beginning, you've got ideation, you've got discovery, you've got the kinds of things that, had the client done this early on, we would have a really easy time and a great engagement with her. You've got research and modeling, followed by integration, testing, and the launch is almost already done for you if you've done all of the prep work. So that's 90 seconds on Bloom clue number 1. Let me tell you a case study that goes with that. Growing up as I did in the 70s, there were two brands that, as a hungry high schooler, I would come home and my mom would slap on the table, Prince spaghetti and ragu sauce, because I'm not Italian. You have to buy it off the shelf. You go to the store, and there were other brands of pasta, but Prince was a big one, and ragu owned the marketplace. So ragu is a brand that was, I think it was Lipton in the 70s and became Unilever. Huge brand. And Campbell's comes along in the 80s, and they say, we want a piece of this. And they come out with the Prego brand. And they hire a fellow that they've worked with before, Howard Moskowitz. Howard is the kind of the patron saint of Optimization Group, the quantitative market research and analysis firm over on Main Street. And Moskowitz is charged with, well, these slides are all out of order now, doing this. They said, we're gonna give you some of the sauces that we came up with, and we want you to tweak them and come up with a sauce that'll beat ragu. That's a tall order, because ragu has been in market for a long time. It's practically synonymous with jarred tomato sauce. And Prego is now charged Moskowitz with the task of developing and marketing a sauce that'll beat ragu. And you kind of already saw the punchline, because the slides were out of order. The answer that he came back with was, I don't want to do a focus group. I want to do product development. In fact, I don't even want to do product development. I want to ask people what they put on their pasta. And he came up with this. There is no one sauce that'll ever beat ragu. The way Prego got its market share was by coming up with a whole family of sauces. That. And then ragu was playing catch up after that. No pun intended. So in the 70s, when you went to the grocery store, tomato sauce was 1 4-foot wide shelf. And now when you go to the grocery store, it's the whole aisle. And that's Howard Moskowitz's fault, and that's product lifecycle marketing. So clue number 2, adopting customer language. This is something that Larry and I hold dear. When you speak to a client, speak to a customer, and you're using your best copy, your catchiest tagline, and it falls flat, you can recognize that there's a disconnect between the language you're using and the language that the customer recognizes as her own. So when I think of what I'm going to do for copy and for positioning and messaging on my next campaign, I always go back to the customers themselves and get their utterances. I ask them through a process called customer discovery, how do they articulate the problem and how do they articulate the solution? And then I use their exact words, and if I'm listening very, very carefully, then they will recognize them and they'll say, oh, that brand is me. That product is mine. I'm already there. And if I'm not listening well, then I get slapped. Well, oh, okay, the slap went away. So my case study for adopting customer language is from a startup that I was with in 2009, 2010, 2011 called Hygieia. And Hygieia is in the medical device area, and our customers were hospitals. We had to convince hospitals to do something that was radically different from what they were doing already. And we recruited them with the best copy we could come up with. And this copy was developed by a 28-year veteran of the industry who had been looked at every campaign that had come down in the last several decades, and she knew it all. And her best copy was not penetrating a lot of hospitals. So what we did was we turned it on its ear, and we started asking the hospitals to articulate what was the challenge in their words and what was the solution going to look like in their words. And their words weren't actually that far away from the product and service offering that Hygieia had. So we just used their words, and they recognized them as their own, and we started to get more uptake because we were using the language that they used to describe why they would adopt this. And then we took it one step further, and we kept doing discovery even after the product was in the field, and asked them, okay, what did it do? What was the outcome of this in customer language? And that's how more and more hospitals began adopting Hygieia technologies, because we only used hospital language and not our own. Third clue for 2014, the law of two ears. I want to tell you a story about our great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, especially Annie's. Og and Nog. That's actually a picture of Og and Nog and Phil. So Phil asks Og and Nog, he hears a roar. He goes, "What was that roar?" Og and Nog go, "I don't know." A little later, Phil hears a stomp. Floor shakes. "What was that stomp?" Og and Nog goes, "I don't know." And then Phil goes out and checks it out. And there's a roar and a stomp and a chomp. Phil doesn't come back, which is why we're all descended from Og and Nog. Og and Nog had 3 data points. They had the roar, the stomp, and Phil not coming back. And they figured, you know what? Let's not go out there. We might get eaten. The part of marketing that I'm speaking about is the pattern recognition engine that takes in multiple inputs and figures stuff out. That symbol of a light bulb going off over your head is really that endorphin rush that you get when you realize something, when 2 messages that were compatible mixed in your mind and gave you a realization. Word of mouth marketing is powerful, but your most powerful word is your own. That's the lesson from adopting customer language. So if you're recognizing patterns and you're convincing yourself, then no one single message need be the one that convinced you. And I'm always amused by our friends at 4C Results and others who do surveys. What brought you to this website? What was it convinced you to buy? More times than not, it's a gestalt. It's everything. So the law of 2 ears has a story that goes with it, of course, and it's another Spark portfolio company, Hygieia, which is the company that's sitting right over there by Alyssa. That's their CEO, yeah. So they didn't get a poster therapy charts, but they're no less of a Spark portfolio company. They were wondering why was it that they weren't getting a lot of uptake in the marketplace. They were sending out emails, and the emails were following, using customer language. They should have been getting lots of uptake. And then they started doing event marketing and showing up at the conventions and the trade shows and the dog and ponies where their clientele hang out. And they saw that they were getting a little bit of uptake, and they started to do pay-per-click. They did publications, which in medical has 2 elements. It has a PR element as well as a professional journals element. They started to do key opinion leadership marketing, where they got spokesmodels who were leaders in the field to speak about it. And amazingly, all of these things work together to create uptake. They could got rid of any one of them and still had that level of uptake because the law of 2 ears was working in their favor. You would recognize the 3rd or the 4th time, oh, therapy charts, yeah, I heard of them. Whereas the first time you heard of them, it wouldn't have done anything. So that's a Spark portfolio company that's doing quite well now, thanks to following that top tip for 2014. So to review, product lifecycle marketing, adopting customer language, law of 2 ears. Do all that in 2014. Follow the examples of Prego, Hygieia, and therapy charts.
Who knows what? Give me a definition. Okay, that's smart. Spreading the word about your company. That's what we're all trying to do. PR has been around for a long time. It's always been well regarded in terms of the credibility, third-party journalists doing that. That's all changing, though. PR has morphed over the last few years. Why? Social media. Because of what? Internet. Absolutely. Because of the internet. So it's morphed, and it's still highly regarded for credibility, but it's now adapting to many changes that are occurring as how we all get and give information. I'm simply going to go through PR then and now, so PR as it was 10 or 15 years ago, traditional media, that type of thing, and the new media, which are compared with older social media, but which people seem to be going to. I don't know if it's in droves or what, because I can't seem to find credible numbers. But when I read something about 30% of the Facebook people do this or do that, the guy that used to run Facebook now used to work right over here at Google, Grady Burnett, and he was a client of ours. So this is a big change how we get and give media. What's one big thing that people really have to have these days? Instant gratification of information. Everybody wants to get their information off their iPhone or some other handheld device. And a lot of people, I was driving back from out east by Detroit today, and I counted in 10 cars, 9 people were looking at this while they're driving. 9 out of 10. It scares me, you know, and there's a video that was put out about some women in a car in England that my wife sent out to my sons and daughters and our kids. It's just scared that it was about 3 years ago. Four women got killed because the driver was texting or looking at it or reading something or doing something. People have this instant gratification need, and it's really a tough thing to overcome. And I don't know that preaching is going to do it, but everybody has to know everything almost before it happens, it seems like to me. Anybody got any thoughts on that? You look it up? Good. All right, so what I'm going to talk about first is PR and what it is in terms of always. This is a thing that's not going to change. PR is thought leadership. What you're trying to do with PR articles or essays or videos or things like that is to get some thought leadership out to get you in some high regard by the audience you want to reach. We have an Ann Arbor company that's called Flexus. Anybody heard of Flexus? Tell me about it. You work there? Yeah. Well, they have a new, this is a 20-year-old Ann Arbor company founded by Sridhar Kota, who's a professor of mechanical engineering at the U, and he's invented a new airplane wing that's being introduced at an AIAA show, the Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, in Washington and Maryland this week. And this is a wing that morphs according to the roll, pitch, and yaw of an aircraft in flight. There are no rivets, there are no bolts, there are no seams on this aircraft wing. The Air Force has paid, I don't know, 20 or 30 or 40 million dollars over the past 15 or 17 years or something like that. And these guys now have this product, which everybody in the press is going there today and finding out about this. But the point of this is that they have to tell their story. Who are they going to tell their story to? They've got to tell it to engineers and people in businesses, in in aerospace businesses, Boeing, MacDac, you know, those type companies. They need to also tell it to the military. So over the past few months, we've been developing their story, and we have it now, not on this big device, on this one. The whole story is in a 2-minute video right here. You used to take a press kit jammed with paper. You'd go to a press room, you'd go visit all around to all the press, go on a tour. That's one of the things that's totally changed. We're doing all the PR on this right from here by telephone or by video conference or by Skype or by other types of things like that. So thought leadership is what we're trying to establish in that specific target market with engineers in the military and in commercial aviation company. Another thing that's always true in PR is relationships. You have to have relationships with media. They've all changed. We don't have traditional media anymore. We have them, but they're print media, but they also have an online version. But you have to identify who are the key target people that you need to reach. We have 104 people on that list in the whole world that we need to reach for Flexes to tell their story on this little, you know, this little thing, whatever it's called. Next thing is speed. Everybody wants information faster than they ever got it before. They always want to know what it is. The next thing is third-party credibility. So in the news release that we have, that we announced this new, it's called FlexFoil. This new wing is called FlexFoil. So we have quotations from people who are engineers who've been working on this product for the Air Force or for different units of the Air Force for the past 12 or 14 years. And so we have to have people like that who have the credibility in the marketplace, and you need to do that with PR. You need to do it with a lot of things. The things that you talk about have to be authentic. You can't, people find out information by going on Google or Yahoo or Bing or somewhere to check out information very, very rapidly. So you have to have facts, and you have to have authenticity and real people who comment on what you're doing. Storytelling is what it's all about. That storytelling seems to be the kind of thing that has come into a lot of vogue lately with different people. You know, what's your story? And you can't tell a story in 10 pages of copy. You can't tell us, you have to tell a story very succinctly and very briefly. So we have a 2-minute and 2-second video that tells the story of this new airfoil. And finally, preparedness. You need to be prepared when you're dealing with the media because of the type of questions that they're going to ask. So those are things that are constants, always with us for the PR piece of this. Okay, we want to talk about public relations, what it used to be and what it is now. So it used to be you would deal with a reporter, now you deal with a blogger. You still have reporters, and you have to look up who they are and read what they're doing, or else, you know, you're going to call up and talk to them, and they're not going to be the right person. Direct mail, now it's SMS. In-person media tour, you used to go on those. You would take 2 people from a client. The person from my firm would go. We'd go visit the media for 3 or 4 days out around Connecticut or Chicago or the West Coast or wherever, and it would cost you a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort. Now you do Skype or you do a phone call. People don't screw around doing media tours anymore. I don't even know if anybody does them anymore. Social media was in its infancy a few years ago. Facebook is what, 10 years, 12 years? LinkedIn, there's a couple others that have gone off the map. There's some all brand new ones coming out. But social media is driving this whole instant gratification thing. Okay, you used to do a press conference. Now you don't bother with that. You do a Twitter chat. You start tweeting and you tell your message out to target people, and that's how you do it now. Used to be trying to create a lot of impressions. Now you're trying to create influence, reach the key influencers who are going to make buy or sell decisions on your product versus some other products. Used to be you would do a product photo. You get it in a laboratory or in a studio and get all the right lighting and do it all right. Now you do Pinterest or some other thing like that. Used to be you always would talk about your product. Now, what's your viewpoint? What's your viewpoint and where does that fit? And you better believe that some of the media people or the bloggers or people who write essays or other types of information, they're going to have good access to Google or other research sources that provide instant information. Used to be you would do news clips. You'd take a scissors and cut them all up and put them in a nice notebook. Now, if you do that, it's more news links. You want to link to all kinds of places where people can go to refer to something you're talking about. Excuse me. Used to be you'd want user feedback. Now, social media chatter that somebody mentioned is the way that things get out there. I don't know if I'm a true believer yet in all social media, but it sure has proved out with a lot of Facebook and Twitter over the past few years, and seems to be growing in popularity. Anybody got any comment on a thing like that? Do most of you use social media a lot or a little or a medium amount, or don't know it or don't care or think it doesn't work? Scott?
And it's fantastic for gathering those kinds of insights.
So you do like focus group type research, or what we might have called focus
We're
group?
testing for brand appeal, potential adoption, see if something that we put out there catches on and spreads. All of those things are wonderful tests that we couldn't do years ago.
What are the,
Instantly.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, and then we can get those results instantly.
What are
And
the
that's-
criteria that you use for judging whether something will catch on or will not? Are there any criteria that you guys use?
It depends on the actual research scope. If we're just getting a quick feel, no. There might be like a specific geography that we're trying to pull from, or a certain demographic that we can
demographic or
pull
age?
from.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's different segments of research.
Things like, yeah. Other comments? Speed?
Volume is cool. We get a post that gets a lot of response, a volume of response over time. That's one indicator. But if I'm getting a whole lot of responses right off the bat, coming in within seconds or minutes, that's an up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you're talking about criteria.
Other people have, yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of, it's a new conduit that has stuff going through it faster.
Yeah,
Electronically, but you're right. I mean, a lot of
It's
these,
just
they're
a
just
pipe.
new delivery methods for pieces of information. They're just new ways to deliver it, but they just keep getting faster and faster. And I can't say that I use Twitter, but I know all my kids do, and I think I better start doing it. Or
I used to. It
Did you?
became noise to me now.
okay, so you
Okay.
just stopped.
I can't determine an action or a trend because there's so much generality going on.
Yeah.
Everybody has an opinion. Well, who has more of an opinion than another?
Well, you know, that gets into a whole nother question that I have a problem with a lot of journalists with. You can go on any one of these sites, but there's only about 3 that I know of. I think the New York Times, I think maybe the Wall Street Journal. You have to sign your name. I think that's right. I don't want to hear Johnny Come Lately quoted as if he's some authoritative source. I don't think that's right. And I think that's something that if you ask us to pick out 3 things that'll change, the demand for having truthful, credible information and signing your name is going to have to, we're going to have to see that change because it just isn't working very well. I don't, my viewpoint. Amen? So I said the right thing. Yeah. Okay. This I mentioned before, paper press kit, and you know what, they used to be pictures and backgrounder and all kinds of things, and a news release announcing something, you put it all in that little bitty stick. That's the way, that's the press kit that we gave out yesterday and today down at the AIA show. Okay, you used to do focus groups. Now you get a friends group on Facebook, and it serves the same purpose and saves you a lot of money, because focus groups, when Pfizer wanted to measure what it was doing about 10 or 12 years ago when it was still in town, we worked with them and did 26 focus groups over a period of a year, and then we took all that information, put it together into a WJR ad campaign, started telling everybody through David Cantor, who ran Pfizer, through his deep English voice, what Pfizer was doing. Because the initial research we did, everybody in town thought Pfizer killed dogs and other animals up in their thing up on the northeast corner of town. And we started to tell them how long it takes, how much it costs to develop a new drug, and really educated them. So when we did the research at the outset, which was about 2001, we had virtually nobody who really knew very much about anything Pfizer did. We did the research after running a campaign for 2 years. 84% of the people who responded knew all about Pfizer and knew that they developed drugs and didn't kill animals. So it was kind of a enlightening thing. Okay, then and now, we used to do live demos, now you do videos. Anybody do people use videos? I know that the people at, yeah, I know you do it. Roger's a video guy around town. He does lots of things for lots of organizations. So are you using videos in your companies in any capacity to do training, to get the message out? Or is that just kind of, no?
That if you don't have video, for instance, on your website, it lessens the chances that people are going to land there, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And the company I was with for a while here, I mean, we were just starting to get into it because it was a bit of a stretch for us, you know, from a budget standpoint. But we really believe that if you didn't have something that shows people how things work in real time, live
And
motion,
have real people telling them, yeah.
wasn't going to happen.
Yeah,
What do you think about that? About video on the website? You got to have video on the website
I think it's,
to get hits.
I don't have any on mine. I think it's imperative to do it though. But I think videos. Linda Gerard from Pure Visibility told me about 3 or 4 years ago, videos where everything's going, and she's been right. It's been really dramatic because you can tell a story in a big hurry from a user, from somebody that has some credibility. So I think it's, I don't know, what do other people think? Because not too many people do it?
Now, when you can differentiate yourself with a video, a good video, and you can put yourself above your competition
Mhm.
by telling your story in an interesting fashion, then that works.
Yeah.
And again, as Linda said, it is a very good SEO tactic.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Used to be people would think about with this airplane wing, well, how can we get on the evening news? Now, they didn't do Twitter. They didn't have a Facebook page up till yesterday. But now we have it, and they're getting hits all over the place because we're telling the story and asking. I mean, if you think of an airplane wing that will reshape itself in flight, morph itself into something else according to the roll, pitch, and yaw of the airplane, and that's what this thing does. So this is, it's going to be interesting to see. Used to be you try to get something on TV, now you do TV yourself, you just do YouTube. And that's what we did with a video that went up for Flexus. Used to be do a spreadsheet, now you do infographics, you combine all the information. Used to be online news, now mobile app. Anybody heard of Ad Adapted? That's a company that hasn't even been announced around town, but they're doing a lot of work with Spark, and they're probably going to announce their first tranche of money here pretty soon, but making news apps that are, you know, using this whole native advertising type thing. So that, I think, Scott.
Great. Before Scott comes up, just have a little discussion about the things we've been talking about. First, a question for David. I'll kick it off, and then others can ask. One of the big challenges is staying inside your own four walls and not getting out to your customer. It's safer for all of us to stay in our offices or, you know, at our computer, etc. You've talked about things that would take you outside of that comfort zone and really actually listen to the customer. If someone was to start today, where would you have them, what would you have them do to start this interactive process with their customer? What would you say they should do first?
You begin with audience. You begin by identifying who it is that you need to listen to. If you believe that marketing is listening, who you listen to is going to determine what messages that you're going to receive. Audience analysis could be, what's my customer segment, my demographic? If I did a then and now slide, it would be, okay, we used to do these demographics, you know, the prism clusters or what have you, that would describe. Now it's all behavioral. It's like what Scott was talking about with you hang a tweet out there, you hang a Facebook event out there, and you see who bites. It's easy to get out of the building, which is the mantra of Steve Blank, one of the proponents of customer discovery and customer development. If you believe that that's where all the answers are, if you think that the answers are to be found right in your building, then you're subscribing to an echo chamber, or you believe that secondary or tertiary research that you get through your little tiny screen, and Roger's is smaller than Alyssa's is staring at a screen here. Who's got a bigger screen? John in the back there. I think Logan's got the biggest screen. When you're staring at a screen, you're looking at second-hand, third-hand. You're not getting primary data. You're not actually doing research at all. You're listening to somebody else's distillation.
So how do you overcome the fear of connecting with the customer? And is it just as simple as first pick up the phone and say, you know, it's a new year, and I'm wanting to connect with you to talk a little bit about what we've been doing for you or what your needs are. What can folks actually do tomorrow to get started doing that?
If there's reluctance to pick up the phone, to send out the email, to get out of the building, I put something that is absolutely irresistible out there. You get more flies with honey than with vinegar. And that is the value of the knowledge that you can only get that way. That knowledge value is important to your product, it's important to your marketing, it's important to the growth of your and success of your business. And you can't get that in here. All of the good stuff is out there. If that's what you seek, then you are motivated out of the building. If you are paralyzed by your own introversion to say, I only want to learn what I can learn right here, you should probably get a job.
Great. And should the cadence be at least quarterly? Folks are doing something, or more often?
Never stops. Quarterly says that I'm going to do it, and then on the 89th day I rest. I never rest. I never stop listening. I'm going to learn something every single time. Doing discovery on a product that's already been delivered will tell you what to do on the next rev of that product.
Great. Larry, you talked about influencers in each industry, each field. How do you recommend that folks both identify those influencers in their area and get to know them and connect with them so that when they do release some content of expertise, they're actually going to do something with it?
So I think I would recommend, first of all, anybody heard of Vocus? Okay, it's a database that costs about $5,000 a year, and that will list all the key people that you would need to reach in anything. Then the other thing is to Google it. Find out by people's names. You know, I knew Scott Holman actually maybe 8 or 10 years ago in some things we were doing at that point in time. But I thought to myself, you know, he's going to be here tonight. I want to know what he's doing. So I went and I looked up New Factory, and I've just met with. You know, we just met 6 months ago on some business type thing. So I think that with the research tools there are these days, the way you would determine is number one, look at the media and find out the specific background, but then go and research what those people have spoken about, what they've written about, and what they've done, or get copies of their presentations. So in my case, if we're looking for who are the people at Aviation Week and Space Technology that I need to know about for my client Flexus, I go into the magazine and I look at it itself, whether it's online or the print version. I see who's writing what, and that's what you do. We needed to look up who covers all this type of thing for the New York Times. So I went through, and there's like 600 or 700 reporters for the New York Times, either freelance or full-time. We went in there and looked at who covers aviation. And it was pretty astounding. There's about one person covering aviation for all the New York Times. So we had to call and talk to some friends to find out who really covers it. And basically, it's with freelancers. They have freelancers who are expert and special in aviation and in aeronautics and in aerospace. So there's different ways, but you just have to use your noggin to figure out what's the best way to find out who the people are. And then look in all the media and say, who's writing what are they writing about, that type of thing.
So once you find them, do you send something to them? Do you call them? What do you do to get some traction?
You do research on Vocus to find out how they want to be contacted. Number one thing. Most people don't want calls because they're all so busy that they don't want calls. I haven't been able to talk to very many media down in Washington yesterday or today because they're all busy. But I got one guy who's helping me with numbers, but that's what you try to do, figure out the way they want to be contacted. We don't want to get a news release. We don't want to have a voicemail. We don't want to have anything. Then don't contact them. Figure somebody else out. So.
Okay, one thing in terms of angle. Everybody here has something that they're very interested in but may not be of interest to someone else. How do they shape their message, their story, so that it has a hook, or that somehow it causes some attention?
I think you have to get either a hook, could be a timing angle, it could be something that's new. If you think of the word news, 3 letters of it are new. What's new? So if something is new, you try to tell the story in terms of those kind of things.
Great. Okay, questions from our folks here? Yes. And why don't you say your name and where you're from?
Richard Miga, Synergistic Solutions. We've been talking about a lot of positive things on marketing and PR. Do you have any insight and some suggestions when negativisms start coming out on your company? Because new media allows that to happen. It only takes one person to ruin your entire product line. Do you have any insights on how marketing and PR can help to evade or alleviate some of that?
I can take a crack at part of that. I think you've got to tell the positive side of the story through some credible source that's a third-party source. I think you need to find out if there is any truth to what someone is saying that's negative, and you better find out the truth, but you better get out there fast with stuff because tomorrow your opportunity will be gone. So I think that would be the first thing I would do.
Draw a bell curve. Flip it upside down. At the extremes are folks who are ecstatic and folks who are annoyed. Those are your respondents. The folks in the middle, who are neither ecstatic nor annoyed, don't give you a lot of feedback. Now tip that bell curve on its end. You get 10 times more annoyed than ecstatic. and this was true when I wrote for the Ann Arbor Observer in the 90s, and there was no new media. The letters that I got were mostly people who were pissed at me. And a very few saying, "Way to go, David, woohoo." But if you were neutral on what I was writing, you didn't feel motivated to write. Given that that is a kind of a media constant, old and new media, the complainer is somebody that you listen to. Larry will tell you what to do. I'll tell you what not to do. Don't ignore this. Don't erase it, because then it'll come back 10 times worse like a hydra. Don't sweep it under the rug. Don't what's the word? When you make a character attack instead of ad hominem. Don't talk about the writer. Always talk about the issue. You're actually more authentic when you got a bruise. Why do you think action heroes actually take punches? So absolutely, leave it out there. But get out of your mind this notion that it's going to ruin you, or your company, or your product. That's just your love for your product talking. In the marketplace, it's not ruining you. It's making you real.
Great. We have time for one more question, and then we're going to move on to our next section. Anyone else? Okay.
As you're talking about social media and this flow of information, if you're selling a highly technical product, you've been talking about airplane wings. You're trying right now with your airplane wings to just get people to pay attention to you. But if they're now paying attention and you actually want them to fasten one to an airplane that might fall out of the sky, you've got to have a lot of technical beef behind you. And I've coming from a technical area too. I mean, I don't think that, I just question, all right, this is my question. Is Twitter going to help me? Is Twitter going to help you put wings on planes? Or what do you think your strategy is to really attack the technology community that is going to have to deal with whatever the technical question, whether it's wings or whatever?
I'm just going to direct you back to Bloom clue number 3, law of two ears. Will Twitter help you? Will it be the straw that broke or made the deal? I don't know. Will it be the one thing that finally got the person from awareness to intent, or from intent to fasten? I don't know. But if you don't have all of those points, you're missing those opportunities to actually push the conversation forward. So yes, it helps.
I think right now the educational phase of social media is still so big, and there's so many people in this room and in this city and in any target market that we might have who don't know about social media that we all have a big job to do to educate people more and more on it. Because don't mistake, it's here. It's here, and it's blazing. And if you think of Facebook 5 years ago and think of it today, I mean, yeah, there's a different audience. They're going more to people in their 50s or older. They're going more toward women, and the kids are not. The kids are going to Twitter. So it's the demographics change on all these things according to what's in favor. So you gotta really study that. The way I found out that's best to study it, which is no brain thing, but find some young people in school who are interns who really know social media and can set things up and who understand it and get it.
Great. Thank you, Larry and David, for helping us get a jump on January with a kickstart. Excellent. Now, Scott is going to take us even further, gaining momentum into the year with a reveal. Scott, come on up.
Gentlemen. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Don Hart. We wanted to do something a little different today. Shake it up, I guess. Jumpstart has kind of an interesting meaning. It does mean to take off, and we're here today to kind of unveil something cool. That's something that we were proud of First, I need a clicker. Do you guys?
Oh, it's right there.
Cool. I wanted to put a kind of a disruptive quote up, one of my favorites, because it's all about change, right? If you think about every year, marketers are faced with change more than anything. Every month in our business, we're dealing with it, and it's about what you do with that change. It's how you take it and make it your own. It starts to become something special. This marketing roundtable thing started in 2007, actually thanks to this fella here. Back when this place was the Ann Arbor IT zone, right on cue. And it was a fantastic idea. It was part of Spark's mission to give back, to foster a sense of community, to educate those people that are going to make a difference with their products and their ideas. And it's been a tremendous sort of, ride, because now it's 2014. 7 years of having monthly forums and talks on every possible subject. That is a lot of thought leadership. That's a lot of giving back. And in that spirit of trying to do more, we thought this was the time to really kind of do more. And why? Because Larry touched on this thing about communication. And it means there's a lot of things have changed since 2007 until now, but the one thing that we're all dealing with is this thing called two-way communication. The conversation isn't just us pushing. We're getting feedback all the time. Every single tweet, every single post, every single product demo, we're getting feedback. And it's actually a fantastic time to be an entrepreneur, because we have this mechanism to engage our potential users, our potential prospects, and get insights all the time. And we wanted to embrace that this year and say, okay, what else could we do to kind of foster that two-way conversation? Because usually we've been having these monthly meetings and it usually stops. And then everyone kind of puts it on the calendar for the next month. And something else is shared, and we do our best to report on that. But again, I mean, the whole idea is to inspire people here to kind of go out there to do something great and then tell each other what they've learned. And so why not rebrand ourselves, right? To reflect that that stance to let's communicate more, let's foster more of a two-way communication. And so the marketing roundtable, we got together, we started talking about ways to do that. And our intent was pretty clear. Excuse me as I get some water. It's really about enabling the extension of Spark's mission, to really amplify that. Draw from a broader geography. It's amazing that, you can drive 20 minutes and you're in a couple of different counties. Why aren't we drawing more folks to hear the great ideas and understand the great products and the things that are being born here? We wanted to open up the conversation more. We wanted to connect with marketing professionals outside of Washtenaw County to come here to the Spark to tell their story. I mean, you've seen us a lot, and you probably get tired of seeing some of the same mugs, right? What if we brought some more folks in that were part of this pool of talent to both energize the group and energize us too? Because we're learning too, just as much as we're sharing our knowledge, we're learning from all the things that you guys are doing. And to provide a platform for new kinds of events too. That, of course, we're going to continue to do this awesome monthly forum. There's other ways that we're going to engage with you guys. Maybe one of the marketing folks here wants to do a podcast and send it out to you guys on a subject that maybe we just touched on something briefly, but there was so much more data. What if we wanted to kind of share some more links? Again, we didn't want it to stop right after 7 o'clock, and then think about the next subject. And so, say hello to the Michigan Marketing Minds, okay? It's a kind of obvious kind of label, but it really is. It's about here, it's about Michigan, it's about marketing, it's about the minds, the people that are practicing, the people that are sharing, and it's not just the people that are on this monthly forum board, it's the people here. You know, we're all marketing minds. We all are learning things in the trenches every day that influence other people in other categories that, you know, it's great when I have a little side conversation about somebody with a challenge that, you know, I take that and take it to one of my clients and think about it in a different way. It's kind of cool. And so we hope that this thing grows, kind of an organic kind of a thing. And like every great brand, you have a trajectory, you have an aim, you have an intent, you have a conviction, but you just never know where it's going to go. Everything pivots, right, all the time. We hope with your continual feedback that this thing is going to morph and change. And again, from being true to a user-centric kind of platform, we hope that it does. And there's some great ways to engage. We have a website. This Marketing Roundtable group never really had one, surprisingly. We're always part of the Sparks website, which is fantastic, but there really wasn't a way to continue the conversation. Check out MichiganMarketingMinds.com. It's in its infancy, but there we hope to find content. We hope that after this session, you might even pose another question to Larry or pose another question to David Bloom. We started a LinkedIn group called Michigan Marketing Minds. We want everyone to just join that group. Again, you don't have to be on the Marketing Roundtable panel to be a part of that group. We want you to go there, pose a question, you know, and we hope that we push our marketing minds to answer those questions, that they're just not floating out there, and then somebody's going to pick up the baton and answer those things. So
what's the hashtag?
The M3X is, you know, it's a nice subtle badge, a short handle, a clue to what Michigan Marketing Minds is all.
M3X is a tactical gun mount illuminator.
Sure.
Most people have guns, and they might want to protect their brand.
M3X is a flashlight brand. There's probably 350 other different designations. That's not our worry. But M3X 2014, M3X 2000 whatever, that's going to be a powerful hashtag for us to use to connect with any special event that we want to do. And it's just really a smart visual clue because as you see, every year it's going to change. And you're going to know who's a part of that group that year. You know, think of it as your Metro Park pass, you know, that changes colors each year and every year. That's the same sort of strategy with the identity, and we think it's clean and smart. And
as you grow, it can become Midwest.
it could, if that's what the people want, you know. So that's really the big unveil. Don and I talked about, you know, fireworks, dry ice, and all this other cool stuff, but it just didn't work out. But we do have some other cool stuff.
All right, excellent. So, tonight, each one of you, before you leave, are going to get your M3X 2014 energy drink to power you into 2014. Plus, if we can hand these out, just split up the room. I'm going to keep one for myself. What we'd like you to do now is take this and so you're going to find on there the word Michigan. You're going to find in there the word marketing. And you're going to find in there the word minds, okay? And what we want you to do right now is take out a pen and do this exercise with us. So your marketing goals for 2014. Remember, we have a disposition here toward action and toward a commitment. Don't get troubled that you haven't had hours and hours to think about these. Just write it down and then tomorrow take a look at it and say, hey, can I still affirm that? But you took an action tonight. So take Michigan. Think about something locally that you can do to connect. So you're connecting here. It might be, I'm going to attend or interface with the Michigan Marketing Minds sponsored by Ann Arbor Spark 6 times this year because I think that I'm going to be able to make a better connection with those in Michigan. Or it might be to follow a Larry. In my industry, I'm going to find out who are the people in my industry that are influencers that I need to get in touch with. Find something in the Michigan side of things and write it out now that you're going to do. Okay? For me, one of the things that I made for my 2014 was being part of Spark and helping with the Michigan Marketing Minds launch and what we're doing here, but also a connection into Detroit. So becoming part of the Detroit Economic Club. And what was awesome is that some of our folks from Ann Arbor were presenting there just recently the Economic Outlook 2014, which is both Michigan and broader than that, was presented at the Detroit Economic Club, and we all were providing data about what was going on in the state of Michigan. And so that's one of my things about Michigan. I'm going to be here, very much rooted, but I'm also going to be in Detroit. Next, marketing. Larry's got marketing there. Okay, what's something that you are going to do that's going to build awareness about who you are, or that's going to connect you with a potential audience that you haven't done before? What is an action you can take to build awareness or connect with an audience that you haven't done before? It could be picking up the phone tomorrow, okay? But make some kind of a commitment now of an action that you're going to do. Great. For our company, one of the things that we've done for many, many years is event marketing. And what we want to do is take a look further at branded event marketing and what can that mean for our customers to take them forward. So in our marketing zone, we're going to be looking at what we can do in that area. Minds. Okay. You have an expertise. You have an idea. Whether you're a student, whether you're the business leader, whether you're the entrepreneur just starting out, you have something in your mind that you know. We want you to share those things. So what's a commitment that you will make this year on behalf of your idea or your business to take it forward? You don't want to be a pretender, okay? You want to be the real thing. And part of that is the discipline of taking yourselves to do the thing. And it's hard, but that's why you're here together. You're seeing one another and you're starting to hear some cool ideas, but you must make application of this information. So how are you going to do your mind thing? For me, I've been saying I'm going to blog, I'm going to do something every week. I'm going to generate at least 250 words. Well, I'm very spotty in that. So this year, I'm going to do it once a week. I'm going to blog, and I've got people who I'm going to be accountable to. Will I be perfect? Absolutely not. But at least there's where I'm trying to get my mind shaped so that others can interact with it, okay? All right, 15 more seconds before we're moving on to the next thing, but write this down. Write something down, okay? Take these 15 seconds to write 3 things that you can think about. So you can take this card and put it on your desk tomorrow and look at it and say, I think it was off base. I'm going to revise it this way. Or no, I like some of that stuff. I'm going to make a commitment to do it. Okay. Now, as you're doing that, we may not have enough for everybody here, and these are going to fall down. But this is our energy. It's going to fall. This is our energy table. And the first, I think we've only got 23 of these, so the first 23 who make it up here. After you fill out this survey that's coming up, we will do that. Okay, so I'm giving you another bonus 15 seconds to finish. And we want to hear from 3 people who are here tonight who've written something, who are going to tell us what they are going to do. Okay, 3 people. So if you're one of those people, don't hesitate to jump up. Okay, 10 seconds. Right on. Goals that relate to at least those 3 things. Something you're doing here locally in Michigan, in your business, yes. Not personally, but in your business. All right, awesome. Starting a new business here in Michigan. Here in Ann Arbor. That's Michigan. Okay. What are you going to do with marketing? Cool.
I've never done billboards before.
Awesome. I just did digital billboards and had some.
As far as marketing, really seriously, marketing, I'll probably do some Facebook, probably mostly for this particular business.
All right.
And,
Mostly Facebook. How often are you going to do interface with Facebook? Is it daily?
once the business launches, daily.
Okay. All right. So we've heard a metric, a daily connection on Facebook for the business. And the third, what aspect of your mind are you going to share this year through this business?
Through the business, I will blog regularly.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. And remind us of who you are. And
I'm Annie with Keystone Media. I'm an internet marketer.
great. Annie with Keystone Media, an internet marketer. Yes. Say who you are and
I'm Jerry Marco. My company is Managing Mind, and we do blogs. I'm going to increase, but I can't do it on a weekly basis. So once a week for 3 hours, I will do 4 blogs, short ones, and then, so that you have them all and you can put them out, and I can do it once a month. And when I lag, I have to set it up and do it with a friend. We have something called silent work. So we meet together, we don't talk, we meet and greet, sit down, we each do our work that we hate to do, and then we get it done. My expertise is on dealing with distraction, but I have to use all the strategies on my own, on my own database of strategies.
great. Thank you. One more person who's written something. Great.
Hi, I'm Joel Vergan with Dishfish. Catch a deal, help a cause is our motto. We help community organizations raise funds and bring customers to locally operated businesses. I put down for Michigan, I said I'm going to personally contact 10 new businesses a week. Marketing, I'm going to get press release out into, I think, AnnArbor.com and maybe Cranes or something like that. Minds, it's plural. I said I need more people on the team. Go out and get some business school interns maybe, or work with folks in the social venture fund here. Work with Annie. She's a great mind.
Great. Let's give everyone a hand. Okay. Now, one more thing. We've had some really great feedback from in the last 2 months when we've done this paper survey. We'd like you, if you could, we have a few more minutes, and there's still some food left, and we'll have a chance to network. But before we end, please fill this in. It's only 10 quickies. We'd appreciate that a lot. And then we will, Alyssa, we can hand them to Alyssa or to myself, taking a minute on that. And Alyssa, can we have a little music on? Thank you, everybody. Officially, our evening has come to a completion. Go forward next week, next month. February is about placemaking, entrepreneurs who are involved in developing new spaces here in this area and the Detroit area from an architectural, real estate, and funding. These are all entrepreneurs who are going to talk about their area of expertise. Roger.
If somebody needs something to do for the next 2 hours, Michigan theaters have